Hello guys, and welcome back to the DocMack car channel, and today what I'm going to show you is how to check for a blown head gasket on your vehicle. Now I'm going to show you how you can check it for free and then how you can use additional tools to confirm this. So without further ado, let's get into it. Consider subscribing if you haven't already. So here's the little sketch that I've drawn up. So I'm going to open the bonnet and then I'm going to show you while I'm showing you this so that you can reference it and make it easier to understand what a head gasket is. First thing we're going to do is we're going to start off with the engine plastic cover, which is up the top. Now I've taken out the plastic cover. You're now left with your valve cover. So this is what you call your valve cover, and that's your valve cover gasket right here, your valve cover. And below that is your valve cover gasket. That's the top of your cylinder head, and that's the bottom of your cylinder head. The cylinder head is where the valves are, and then right down the bottom of the cylinder head is your head gasket. So the head gasket sits on the top of your long block or your short block, and it's in between the bottom of the cylinder head and the top of the long block. So that's right down the bottom of the engine, which is a bit hard to see, but I hope you guys get exactly what I'm referring to right here. So let's start with the troubleshooting right now. So the first thing you're going to do is the engine has got to be stone cold. I have to give you guys a warning, it's got to be stone cold. Do not do this when the engine is hot. First thing you're going to do is you're going to remove the expansion tank cap or the radiator cap. Then what you're going to do is you're going to start up the vehicle. And once you start up the vehicle, come to the front and see. If you see the expansion tank or the radiator cap bubbling, that means exhaust gases are getting into the cooling system, and it's most likely that you do indeed have a blown head gasket. Alright, just to reiterate, what you're going to do is you're going to remove the coolant expansion tank cap while the engine is stone cold, and then you're going to start your vehicle. Now, while the vehicle is running, you want to make sure that you do not see any bubbles coming up. Now, if you do see bubbles coming up, that means it's most likely you do have a blown head gasket. You're going to open the engine oil cap. And now what you're going to do is you're going to inspect the underside of the cap. Now, if the underside of the cap looks like chocolate milk or chocolate yogurt, that means that coolant and oil has mixed together, and that's how you have a blown head gasket. Because when you have a blown head gasket, coolant and oil will start mixing together and they'll make a chocolate yogurt type of texture under your engine oil cap. Alright, so we have verified that that is fine right here. So we're going to screw the cap back in. So when the vehicle is started up, you don't want to see any white smoke coming out the back of your tailpipe. Now, some condensation is fine, but it will be a very thick white smoke which is coming out the back of your tailpipe. That would mean that the coolant has gone into the combustion system, and that's burning off the coolant and is coming out as white smoke out your tailpipe. That is a sign of head gasket failure as well. Next thing you can do is you can buy a block tester. Now, what a block tester is a cylindrical thing which you can insert into your expansion tank, your coolant expansion tank. And what you do is you screw it on with the proper adapter that's supplied. I will put a photo up of how a block tester looks. Now, you screw it on and then you put the liquid up to the certain level. And then what you do is you start the engine and you pump the block tester. Now, if any exhaust gases has passed the combustion chamber and come into the cooling system, then you will get the liquid turn into a yellow color. A good way of testing if that block tester works as well is you can go to the exhaust pipe at the back and do the same thing, and you'll see the color actually immediately change. That's how you can tell as well. Now, a compression tester, where this comes in handy is when you have a blown head gasket. The compression in the engine will be lost. Now, the compression basically is your ignition coil sparks a spark plug, and then fuel gets into the engine and it does its combustion, 4-stroke. So it's a 4-stroke engine and it goes through the combustion process. Now, within that process, if it loses the compression, then you do need a compression tester. So Now this is how a compression tester looks, and now this is a gauge, and what you do is you screw this tip into the end of your spark plug hole. You'll need to remove all of the spark plugs, disable the fuel pump by pulling out the fuel pump fuse, and then you need to screw this one in. When you crank the engine should crank, but it should not turn over. When it cranks, it will go up in the gauge, and all 4 cylinders need to be almost the same. Now, there can be about 5% difference, but you need to check the specs on your vehicle and engine as to what the compression rates are supposed to be and compare them against this. Alright guys, so the next thing you need to do to test is a borescope camera. Now you're wondering, what does a borescope camera have to do with the blown head gasket? Now inside the combustion chamber, you'll have your piston on the bottom where it starts the compression. Now if you put this down the spark plug hole, you will be able to see the top of the piston. Now if you see that the top of the piston looks very clean, then the likeliness is that the coolant has gotten in there and it's steam cleaned the top of the piston, and you'll see the piston look a little bit more clean than it's supposed to look. That's also one way that you can tell that you've got a blown head gasket. So this one is a fairly cheap tool to get. It's a borescope camera, and basically what you can do is you just turn it on. All right, and there you see, you can see exactly where it's pointing at. That's how you can tell if you've got a blown head gasket. Now there's a lot more things that I can get into, but I wanted to make the video short and sweet, so make sure you subscribe, check out my other car videos, and recommend it to your friends as well. Thanks guys, and I'll see you in the next one.